Hello, great people. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo has revealed the unimaginable things that his late wife, Stella, you remember her, the former First Lady of Nigeria, did while she was in prison. The unimaginable things that Stella Obasanjo did to make sure that Obasanjo was freed from prison. In this video, I'll be telling you what Obasanjo said, what Stella Obasanjo did, the extent Stella Obasanjo went to make sure that Obasanjo wasn't executed. You remember that Obasanjo was imprisoned by the Abacha military regime. Now, that will give me an opportunity to talk about Sani Abacha, his personality, and what he could have done to Obasanjo if not by the grace of God. And I will also be linking it to Ken Saro-Wiwa. What happened to Ken Saro-Wiwa? So let's go on this short journey together. You see, first, I must say that in life, it is always good to have a partner, and not just a partner, but a good wife, in the sense that God wasn't stupid when he looked at Adam and he said, okay, I think this guy needs a woman by his side. But it's not just to have a woman by your side, having a good woman. No be say when things they sweet, when things they joy, the woman go there. But when things no joy, we move, because Obasanjo revealed at the launching of an hospital in honor of Stella in Edo State by Governor Godwin Obaseki, a 250-bed hospital named after Stella at the commissioning. Obasanjo was now reminiscing about Stella. He said Stella did a whole lot, that Stella was jumping from country to country, was meeting different power blocks across the world just to make sure that they pressure Abacha not to execute him. Abacha doesn't give a damn. It's going to just, it's going to execute you. Like, if Abacha could execute the Ogoni Nine, and imagine that as at when those execution was done, Abacha was being stealing oil money. Until today, Nigeria is still receiving a lot from Abacha in heaven. You can imagine that when the money was, when Ken Saro-Wiwa was being killed, Abacha was busy stealing money. And look at the humongous amount that Abacha had stolen. So Abacha happens to be somebody that, he doesn't really care. But although Kano people do not see him as that, because he is from Kano State and I served in Kano State. But I'll come to that. Now, Obasanjo said that Stella went to Vatican City in France, met some power blocks in London and across the world. She was running from pillar to post just to make sure that he wasn't executed. And I've heard that before from, all these big uncles, that when Obasanjo was in prison, you would think it was Stella that is in prison, because Stella would not allow the people in charge to rest. She will always demand that she wants to see Obasanjo. And you know that there will be limited access to Obasanjo because he's being held for treason. So people cannot be seeing him anyhow. That even if they send Stella away, she will still come back. When they send her away, she will still come back. That, she tried a whole lot. And that was why, Obasanjo is not a one-woman's man. That's the truth. But then, that based on that effort, was what made Obasanjo to make Stella the first lady. So, it is important for us to have spouse by our side that can withstand the test of time. Now, what could Abacha have done to Obasanjo? Well, how we will know is that Ken Saro-Wiwa of Ogoni Nine was not seeking to allegedly remove Abacha. He wasn't seeking the secession of Nigeria. What he was seeking was a fair treatment for the Ogoni people and by extension the Niger Delta, that the eradication of environmental degradation that is affecting his people, that an end should be put to it and the people should be treated fairly. They should be allowed to benefit from the resources on their land. He's not seeking to sack Abacha. Now look at Obasanjo. Obasanjo was allegedly seeking to sack the Abacha government. So if Ken Saro-Wiwa if Abacha could execute Ken Saro-Wiwa, now look at what he would do to the Obasanjo. And I also read it because I did a scientific research on Ogoni Nine. So I've been to Ogoni land before, right? So I heard it while doing data collection, and I also read it in different literatures that Ken Saro-Wiwa was murdered in a gruesome manner. That I think they said he was hanged to death, and the other 8 people making Ogoni Nine, that I think they were hanged to death, and after that, acid was poured on their body. You know that if they kill somebody and they pour acid on it, there cannot be any autopsy, forensic. You understand? Everything is just gone, and that is the end. Now, Ogoni people told me that they had to call upon the spirit of Ken Saro-Wiwa, that they use their juju, you understand, all this, African magic, because they couldn't find the corpse, and it was very painful to them that the traditional priest in that particular area gathered, and they conjured their incantation to bring home the spirit of Ken Saro-Wiwa, that they felt that that spirit should not sleep outside. I'm telling you what I detected, and some of the outcome of the scientific research that I did on Ogoni land, because I was at Ogoni land, I was present in Ogoni land. So they said that the day that they will call the spirit of Ken Saro-Wiwa back, that the weather was very should I say stormy, if I can use that word, that a lot of breeze was blowing heavily that day, that when they conjure the spirit, they now there's a way they did it. They now kind of like buried it, and created a grave for him. But that they are burying somebody like the normal physical body, they didn't have access to the body. Now let us go back to Obasanjo. If Abacha could do that to Ken Saro-Wiwa, imagine what he's going to do to Obasanjo. Now, why didn't Abacha execute Obasanjo before he died? That's another great question that may have popped your mind. You see, Abacha wasn't able to execute Obasanjo because the international community that Stella was rushing to, Abacha was already in their bad book. You remember that when Ken Saro-Wiwa was executed, Nigeria was suspended, I think, by the Commonwealth of Nations. It really brought disrepute to the Abacha government. So the same people that told him not to execute the Ogoni Nine, and he went ahead to execute them unjustly, those same people are the one pressurizing him, these Western powers that don't execute Olusegun Obasanjo. So you know that us beating twice shy, as they usually say. So Abacha was applying a bit of restraint, you understand, in order not to be in the bad books of the Western powers again. That was the only thing that I think that restrained Abacha, because he is the military head of state, and all he just needs is to give a command, and it will end with yes, sir. That will be the end. You understand? He will just say, oh yeah, go and execute him. Yes, sir. And that yes, sir, within a night report, it will be carried out. So you can imagine that somebody that has that enormous power, why did he keep Obasanjo and fail to execute him? It was because the Western powers was restraining him. And who was behind the Western powers? Who was going all out? Who was kind of like aligning with some of these Western power, the Vatican City in France, London, Washington? Who was behind it? Stella Obasanjo. That is why some of you, that you can see that Stella, those of you that know her very well, that are mature during when she's alive, or that name rings a bell. You know that Stella doesn't have height. You understand? She's a small statured lady. And Obasanjo has stature than her. But Obasanjo went for her, not because of stature, but because of what he had done to contribute to his life. So those of you that will be looking for Bobby all over the place, that all you know is to follow guests that have done BBL. Those of you that all you know is, oh, she's fine, she's tall. Look beyond that. Learn from Aremu Olusegun Obasanjo, so that the day, God forbid, that you find yourself in trouble, you can see somebody to stand by your side. You can see somebody that you know that, okay, this person will stand the test of time, not only when it is sweet. And sincerely, Obasanjo did well for Stella. Stella really enjoyed her reign as first lady until death came knocking. Now, I promise to tell you about Abacha, how Kano people perceive him, right? Let me fulfill my promise. Now, I did my NYC in Kano State. You know that in the Southwest, particularly Lagos and other, Southwest states, Abacha was seen as a bad person. Abacha was seen as a terrible person. I remember the day Abacha died and it was announced. People trooped out to the street. They were singing, dancing, and rejoicing. So, based on that orientation, I have always thought, Abacha is a bad person, that there's nobody in this life that can like or love Abacha, because that is how it is in the Southwest that I am coming from. But when I got to Kano for my NYC, I realized that on every bus, almost all the bus, that there's an Abacha picture there. Just as in Lagos, all these Danfo guys, the way they put, Pasuma sticker, Saheed Osupa sticker, all these stickers on their bus. Abacha's picture was all over the place. And I was wondering that this bad man, what is his picture doing on all the buses? It took me a while during my NYC to realize that the Kano people loved Abacha. The reason is because Abacha did well for Kano State. Imagine giving Kano 41 local government and Lagos has 20. Imagine Lagos, a former capital. Lagos that, is like a mini Nigeria, that you find everybody in every state in Nigeria well represented in Lagos. Imagine the population of Lagos having only 20 local government and Abacha unilateral. Some of you that usually call for coup plot, this is one thing you need to realize, that the military head of state, if they take over power, it will just rule by decree. It will just wake up and anyhow he feels, whatever he feels becomes the law. Unlike in a democracy that you people have to dialogue, if it were to be a military regime, this tax reform that the northern governors are kicking against, that they are in a running battle with President Bola Tinubu. Tinubu, if he's a military head of state, do not need their opinion. There's no legislature to debate over it. If you just wake up one morning and says that now this is how tax will be done, and that's final. There's nothing anybody can say. So Abacha unilaterally gave Kano State 41 local government, and it was during his time that this population issue, that which one is more populated, Kano or Lagos, became an issue. But I can tell you, I've lived in both states. I can tell you that Kano does not have the population of Lagos. If you want to know the population of Lagos, bring out in a street, enter a street, tell everybody in that street to come out. Everybody. You will see sea of heads. You will know that Lagos is densely populated. So Abacha was seen as a good guy by the Kano people based on what he did for them. Should I tell you the truth? Some roads that Abacha tarred in Kano while he was alive is still functioning to today. It doesn't need any repair. There's no pothole. Don't take my word for it. Ask your friends that are from Kano State. The road that he tarred, some of them are still functioning to today. There's no pothole. They did the road excellently well. So Abacha did well for his people. But the most painful thing is that with Obasanjo from prison to power, now nothing much was done for Ogun State people. Nothing tangible. If you go to Ogun State, you won't see Obasanjo sticker on every bus because people didn't feel his impact that much. That's the painful aspect of it. But kudos to Stella Obasanjo. I think Stella Obasanjo is a woman that I think every man needs to have in his life, because life is not a bed of roses. And I also appreciate the former president for remembering her and speaking well about her. That means that he hasn't forgotten those that made him who he is, or those that struggle to make him who he is today. It's been an interesting time with you on this episode of Politing with Dr. Omoshola. Dr. Deji is a political scientist with a PhD in political science, and this is where we analyze politics and happenings in the polity. Do want to subscribe, do want to turn on your notification button, catch up with my past videos, and of course I've got great interesting videos, couple of them coming your way. I'm just around the corner. Till I see you again, you already know that I love you all sincerely.